What is going on, everyone? My name is Arnold the Raider, and welcome back to the PPL. Now, last week we had a really awesome match against Sly. Came out with a victory, and now we are facing the person who is #1 in the PPL right now. He's undefeated. He's the champion of Season 1 of the GBA D League, and that is Sam. He has so much experience. He's so good and so creative. I'm scared shitless, if I'm 100% honest with you. Before we go into like team preview and stuff like that, I made a transfer this past week. I didn't feel like it was necessary for me to make a video on it because it wasn't that big of a change. I just dropped Miltank for Rhydon, basically because I needed to switch into Tyrantrum. That was basically the first reason. And then I started looking at future matchups, and it actually looked pretty well, so I was like, pretty good, why not? And it would actually really help out for this match. But as I was saying, Sam has a very threatening team that I kind of didn't have anything for until I got Rhydon. His team consists of Jirachi, Nidoqueen, Togekiss, Jolteon, Tyrantrum, Talonflame, Hariyama, Gourgeist, Liepard, and Mega Blastoise. So, first things first, he has two of the worst Serene Grace users in the entire game, and by worst, I mean best, but worst to face. He has a team of wall breakers like Nidoqueen, Tyrantrum, Talonflame, Hariyama, Mega Blastoise. Not even I have the switch-ins for all those things, and in case you guys don't really know me by now, I like my bulk. So, that's how I feel right now. Not to mention, he also has speed, he has super speed, he has Jolteon, he also has super spoopy in Gourgeist, he has Prankster, T-Wave, and Liepard to slow me down. He has a super scary team. I can't stress this enough. Super scary. Just looking at this draft, I'm terrified to play him. I'm not sure when this video is going up or when the battle is going up because we were going to battle Saturday, but then I forgot that I was going to a baby shower and family kind of sort of has a precedence, and nobody uploads their battles on time anyway, so why not take an extra day for myself? So that's basically the way I look at it. But let's go ahead and just look at the team that I figured might as well bring to this game because why not? Because I clearly have an amazing strategy going into this. Not really. So, instantly, the first thing on his team that is absolutely terrifying to me is Talonflame. Not only because it just tears through almost all of my entire team, aside from Electros and Rhydon, but because he uses it amazingly. Even on weeks to where we think that it doesn't have a good matchup, he brings Spadef Bulk up, and it still does work, even though it doesn't look like it has a good matchup. He brought Choice Bandit against Liam, and I think that was kind of unexpected because he did continue to bring the Will-O-Wisp being Bulk Up, being Spadef Talonflame, and I'm kind of sort of expecting him to bring that versus me because I don't really see why he wouldn't. So that's kind of something I'm taking into consideration with this team. Tyrantrum completely 6-0s me. If I did not pick up Rhydon, completely 6-0s me. If he was Choice Scarfed, 2-KOs my entire team. If he was Choice Banded, it definitely 2-KOs my entire team. If he was Dragon Dance with a Life Orb, completely 2-KOs my entire team. So that's fun. So I fully expect Tyrantrum in this game, like 110%, and that's super scary. And yeah, so that's kind of where I went to start off my team building. So of course, I'm bringing Rhydon, Monochromon. He is the premier start off for this game. I'm bringing a physically defensive set because I need to switch into Tyrantrum, basically, and I need a really good switch into Talonflame unless he brings the natural gift grass or water, which if he does that, he won't be able to touch Garchomp, and he won't be able to touch other things on my team, so he can't really bring the natural gift grass or water. He might bring natural gift ice, which cannot KO me. And I'm bringing the moves Earthquake, Rock Slide, Sleep Talk, and Rest. Now, the Rest Sleep Talk is there mainly because I fully expect him to bring the Spadef Will-O-Wisping Bulk Upping Talonflame versus me. So if he Will-O-Wisp me, I can rest it off and get rid of the burn, and then I can Sleep Talk and hopefully get a Rock Slide and kill that thing from full health. It's very scary and it's very hard to take on my team. Earthquake is there just for general stab. He doesn't really have anything that wants to switch into this. Like, realistically, his best switch into this is his Goregeist, and I'm fully expecting Goregeist to come just because it's also a very good switch into Azumarill. However, with Rest and Sleep Talk, if he burns this thing with it, he has to go for a grass move against it, so then it's kind of easy to predict, and then it kind of needs to be bulky to take hits, so then it's kind of sort of forcing him to bring the bulky Goregeist. So I think he's going to be bringing a Goregeist large, not super, because he kind of wants to be a little bit speedy to outspeed certain things like a Lomomola and things of that nature, without having to invest in speed too much. If he brings super, that's fine. He just has to invest more in speed, but I think he'll be bringing large. But Earthquake, Rock Slide, Sleep Talk, and Rest, it can keep this thing very healthy. It takes on his physical hitters pretty well. Hariyama takes on Hariyama pretty well too, because it doesn't want to take Earthquakes, because its physical defense is kind of sort of booty. And close combat can't one-shot me. And surprisingly enough, I actually changed this from a physically defensive Rock Slide with Earthquake, Rock Slide, Toxic, and Stealth Rocks. I changed it because realistically, I do not want to force in Blastoise any more than I have to, because Blastoise is very hard for my team to switch into. So if I can not set up Stealth Rocks, that would be ideal. And if I can just go ahead and fire off an Earthquake and catch Blastoise on the switch in, if he is fully physically defensive, it doesn't do anything, but I think he kind of needs to be offensive versus my team, so then it does a little bit more. It does about 33%, which is pretty good damage, honestly. That's with 180 HP EVs, so that's pretty good in my opinion. If he brings defensive, then he has to be Rapid Spin 3 attacks, then he doesn't have everything he needs to hit my team, at least in my opinion, and then I think that he'll be suffering a little bit. So I definitely expect him to bring like offensive, like full offensive. But this thing just is a really good stop to Talonflame. Like, no matter how many moves he goes for Brave Bird or Will-O-Wisp, Rockslide is still going to do a shit ton of damage. And if he wants to Roost off, I'm going to go for an Earthquake, and that's more powerful. I mean, it's not more powerful because it's 2 times effective, but it's base 100, it's stab, and I can rest off as he roosts, so that's always something to keep in mind. But basically, the one thing that wants to switch into Rhydon, well, there's 2 things I want to switch into Rhydon and can easily scare me out. That is actually Goregeist and Mega Blastoise. So I kind of wanted something to easily switch into those. Also, I kind of sort of expect Jolteon. However, Jolteon, it either cannot touch Rhydon or it cannot touch Garchomp, because it doesn't get hidden power, water, and ice. So it kind of has to play around with what it wants. So I'm kind of sort of taking that into consideration too. So I really wanted to switch in to Goregeist and to Blastoise. So the mon that I'm bringing is a Spadef Amoonguss. This thing is here literally just to switch in to Blastoise and to switch into the Goregeist. Goregeist cannot touch this thing. A modest max special attack Ice Beam cannot 2-hit KO me unless he has Rocks Up. And if he wants to get Rocks Up, that means he has to bring Jirachi, or he has one other Rock Setter that I can't think of because I'm not looking at the sheet, Nidoqueen, and Tyrantrum. Those are his 3 rockers. So if he wants to get a Rocks versus me, that's fine. Then Ice Beam from a modest max special attack Ice Beam does 2-hit KO me, but it's still a roll. That's along with Black Sludge, Regenerate, and all this other nonsense. I'm running Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb, Spore, and Toxic. Now I'm running dual status for a couple different reasons. Spore would be nice to catch something like the Jolteon or the Mega Blastoise on the switch in, or something like the Tyrantrum, the Talonflame on the switch in, because if he's Lumberry, I'd like to pop that so that way he doesn't have the ability to switch in later on it. If he Swords Dance Talonflame, then Rhydon is my instant check, because then he would have, then in order to beat Rhydon specifically, he would have to have Swords Dance, Natural Gift, Grass or Water, Brave Bird, and Roost, and then he cannot touch other things on the team, at least not well. So I don't think that'll happen. I don't think he's bringing Swords Dance Talonflame at all. But Toxic is there because whatever he wants to switch into this thing, anything at all he wants to switch into this thing, Toxic can kind of sort of cripple it. The only thing I really have to be careful of is if I go for a Spore and he has Choice Band Hariyama with Sleep Talk. That is very scary for my team because I have no way of predicting what move he's going to go for. I have no way of knowing when he's going to wake up, and I have to watch out for that. So I cannot go for Spore willy-nilly and just expect him to go to sleep for free. It's never for free against his team because of Hariyama. If I don't see Hariyama, I can Spore more freely, but Hariyama's going to be there. It's just going to be there. Sludge Bomb and Giga Drain, dual stab, hit his team pretty decently aside from Jirachi. Jirachi can kind of sort of switch into this thing all day, but then it's going to catch the finest of spores unless he's safety goggles, or safety goggles, and I don't think he'll be bringing that on Jirachi. If he brings it on anything, he might be bringing it on the Talonflame, maybe. I know he brought it versus Liam with, I think he had it on the Nidoqueen. Did he have it on the Nidoqueen? He might have had it on the Jirachi, but he had it on something for Liam. And I don't think he'll be bringing safety goggles on something for me, but I don't think it'll be the same Mon. So that's a massive plus for me. And the only way, this is also kind of sort of my designated switch in to Gourgeist, because this thing threatens it out right away, and I can get a free Toxic on something. And the main thing I want to do versus him is whittle him down for my late game plan. I'm going in with a single plan to do late game, and I'm hoping it works. I'm really hoping it works. So toxic damage is going to be very key. Even if he has Guts Hariyama, I'd rather toxic it than spore it. I do not want to spore that thing. I want to toxic it. Even if he's Guts, I don't really give a shit. I want to toxic it. Giga Drain is really nice for Mega Blastoise. It does a good chunk of damage. Sludge Bomb also hits Talonflame, it hits Jolteon, it hits Gourgeist, hits all that for pretty decent damage. And Gourgeist cannot 2-hit KO me unless he's like max offensive choice specs with a Psychic. Then it can do a good chunklet of damage, but if he's just like bulky with Psychic to try to hit me, it's not going to do that much. I do have to be careful though with the burn, so that's something to keep in mind. But overall, I think that this thing will be a pretty good wall and it'll be a little bit of a pain for him to take down unless he brings massive hyper offensive Volt Turn, which I think could be a possibility. But even then, those mons are kind of sort of stopped decently well by Rhydon, because his U-turners are Jirachi, which can Iron Head Rhydon, but can't really do all that much. And then Jolteon, which can hidden power water, but then he can't hidden power as Garchomp if I bring Garchomp. And then U-turn on Talonflame, which doesn't really do anything to Rhydon. And then just forces in something that can't Volt Switch or U-turn on me later. So this thing is pretty cool against his team, and I really like the way it matches up, honestly. So after doing all this stuff, I realized that there were a couple things on his team that really threatened out my team and can really stop me from getting good chip damage on him. So I wanted something that could kind of be not necessarily a wall breaker, but just something that could really pressure him. And that I actually wanted to be Garchomp. Now, Garchomp is very specific this game because he's very offensive. He's almost max speed, just enough to outspeed base 100s in Jirachi. So it's 244 in speed, 252 in attack, and 12 in HP. Substitute Earthquake, Dragon Claw, and Rock Slide. So this is kind of sort of my plan with Garchomp. If I can sub up on the things that are slower than it, like the Nidoqueen if it's not Scarfed, the Talonflame if it's going for a Will-O-Wisp, if it's Spadef, I can outspeed it. And I can sub up on it, and then I'm forcing something to take 2 hits because I outspeed the vast majority of his team, and if he wants to break the sub, he's going to be losing something on his team. The only thing that he won't really lose is his Gourgeist, which I will still get a good amount of damage off on it, and then hopefully be able to toxic it with a Mungus, or his Mega Blastoise. Now, Mega Blastoise still does not appreciate Earthquakes or Dragon Claws because it is a wall that doesn't have reliable recovery, so that's always something to keep in mind. But this thing just really pressures his team once it has a sub up. If it gets a free sub, and by free I mean it comes in on a Stealth Rocking Nidoqueen, and I know for a fact that it's not Choice Scarf like I've seen Black Sludge or something along those lines, I can sub up on it, and I can see what he's going to go for. If he's going to stay in an Ice Beam me, then he's going to die to an Earthquake unless he has a Shuca Berry, and then I can kind of sort of play around it that way. If I see Black Sludges, I'm Shuca Berry, and all this other awesome things that Garchomp can do versus his team. But I really think that just a random substitute will be really good against him. The only thing that really wants to take it on is Gourgeist, as I said. And realistically, if Hariyama is getting to be very scary, this might have to be the death fodder, which is depressing. However, if this thing comes in on Hariyama and he goes for a knockoff, he's going to knock off my leftovers, he's going to take Rough Skin, and then I get to fire off a free Earthquake or a Dragon Claw, and then it's kind of sort of putting more pressure on, and I scare out Hariyama. Another really awesome thing, the only way he'll be able to take on this Garchomp with Tyrantrum is if he is Choice Scarfed or he has +1, and then that means he has to set up, and I really don't think he'll be bringing Choice Scarfed. I think he'll be bringing setup, so then I don't think he'll be able to touch this thing, and then I can just Earthquake it and do massive damage to it, which is awesome. But this Garchomp, I think, is going to put a lot of pressure on him very quickly. I think he's going to see it come in and think it's Bulky Chomp to hopefully take on or get some nice Rough Skin Rocky Helmet damage on the Talonflame or the Tyrantrum, and that's not what I plan to do with it at all. I'm going way too offensive with this thing this week, and I think it's a very good idea. Which, by the way, I have a couple people that I kind of go to. Like, I build my first team, and then I kind of sort of go to people and I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of the matchup? Do you think I'm missing anything? And this was actually a set suggested by a good friend of mine, Phil, and I think that it's a fantastic idea, especially after I got Rhydon. This thing takes a lot of pressure off this thing. Originally, without Rhydon, I was going to bring a physically defensive speedy with enough speed to outspeed max speed Tyrantrum with a Yachi Berry, because I fully expected SD natural gift ice, because that's all he really needed on Talonflame. But since I got Rhydon, I don't have to worry about that, so that's always a plus. But this thing works out very well. I'm really excited to use it. The next mon on the team is actually kind of sort of something that is almost necessary. And this is a Spadef mixed defensive offensive Electros. The moves U-Turn, Thunderbolt, Aqua Tail, and Knockoff. So, this thing is kind of sort of important, because if he is a Spadef, Bulk Up, Roosting, Will-O-Wisping, Brave Birding, Talonflame, he cannot touch this thing unless he gets like +7 or whatnot. And even if he's Spadef, Thunderbolt is a clean 2-hit KO no matter what. That means I can knock off his leftovers, I can knock off berries, I can do a whole bunch of cool stuff like that. And Aqua Tail, fun fact of the day, if he is just offensive, Aqua Tail does a shit ton of damage, so that's always nice. And Thunderbolt does even more damage depending on his set. So this thing can hit Talonflame for massive damage no matter what his set is, and that is awesome. This is also my dedicated switch in to Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen cannot 2-hit KO this thing, so if I send this thing in, and he thinks I can't really touch it, I can Aqua Tail him, do about 65% depending on his spread, and that instantly puts him in range of my late game plan, so that's perfect for me, and I like that. U-Turn just for general momentum, and it also hits his team pretty decently. Actually, it hits Jirachi and Gourgeist, which are two things I'm currently having a little bit of trouble with on the team, and Knockoff just for general item getting ridages of stuffs. Yep. Being able to knock off Hariyama's Assault Vest would be pretty cool. Being able to knock off Gourgeist, Talonflame, Jolteon, Jirachi, Tyrantrum, basically knock off on his team is very awesome, and I really like the way it can work out for the team. This thing is also a pretty good stop to Choice Scarf Nidoqueen, because my team is a little bit weak to Earth Power and Ice Beam. So if he's Choice Scarfed into Ice Beam, this thing just walls it for days, and it forces him out. And what it forces him into doesn't want to take the coverage, so that's always nice. Because if he thinks that I don't have a... If he thinks that I'm going to be forced to go for a U-turn, then he can go into Jirachi, and that doesn't want to take Knockoff. Go into Talonflame, doesn't take Thunderbolts or Aqua Tails. So it's very hard for him to switch into this, even though it doesn't have that much of an attack investment. But the Levitate's just really cool. That also means that if he's Choice Scarf Tyrantrum and he wants to go for an Earthquake to hit, say, my Rhydon, this thing just switches into it and forces him out instantly, so that's always a plus. Or if he's Choice Banded, I'll know from the damage, and if he wants to lock himself into Choice Banded Earthquake, that's just not smart, and Sam would never do that, so I do not expect him to. But I really like the way this thing works out. You'll notice that I'm running Sassy, hint hint, with 0 Speed IVs, because this thing is a little hard for him to switch into. Under what the next mon could potentially do for the team, and that is Reuniclus. I'm running Trick Room Reuniclus, Psychic, Energy Ball, Shadow Ball. I kind of want to change Psychic to Psyshock for the Thingamaboober for the Hariyama, but Psychic does a good amount of damage too, I think. Actually, let me calculate real quick. Yeah, Psyshock does a lot more damage to it, so I might actually change this off for Psyshock. I'm not sure just yet. I might have to let you guys know in the battle, but Cobra Berry, because if he thinks he can knock me off for free, he can't. He's going to lose a lot of damage with this Hariyama. This also enables me to take a very strong Dark Pulse from Mega Blastoise, which is always a plus. And I can fire off with an Energy Ball, which does a massive amount of damage depending on his spread. And that puts him in range of my late game plan, which is also nice. But Trick Room just works really well against his team with my team, in my opinion, because there's not a lot on his team that can actually switch into my walls. For example, what switches into Reuniclus? Jirachi, I have Shadow Ball. Nidoqueen, I have Psyshock. Togekiss, I have Psyshock, which can do a decent amount of damage, and Psychic also can get the Spadef drop if I decide to run Psychic. So realistically, Togekiss might be his best switch into this. Talonflame and Tyrantrum don't want to take Psy Shocks or Energy Balls or Shadow Balls. Jolteon doesn't want to take Psy Shocks. Nothing really wants to switch into this thing, so if I get up a Trick Room, I get 4 free hard-hitting turns, and then I kind of sort of chip him out, and that's awesome. I'm running Regenerator because I don't have room for Recover, and I want to be able to switch out in between this and my Moongus and be able to get some good health back because these two together wall the good majority of his team. Trick Room, if I can set up a Trick Room and I can drop my Rhydon in, that would be ideal because on his team, not a whole lot switches into Rhydon. Like, as I said, the Gourgeist, but under Trick Room, it still threatens him out, and if it's weakened, it's 2-KO'd by Earthquake or Rock Slide, so that's awesome. And, yeah, the final mon that I want to drop into Trick Room is also really cool. But I also have Electros, which is very hard for him to switch into. Sorry, my throat. A little tickle in it. I need some tea, as Shroom would say. But this thing is awesome. I really like it. I'm really looking forward to set up a Trick Room and dropping in the final mon of the team, which is Azumarill. Assault Vest, max HP, max attack, adamant, huge power Azumarill. He has nothing that wants to switch into this once I have a Trick Room up. Here's the awesome thing about Azumarill. If I can weaken his team the way I want to, play rough, 2-hit KO some variants of Mega Blastoise depending on what he is, depending on his HP spread and all that nonsense. Depending on if he wants to speed creep certain things like a uninvested Garchomp. I don't even know if it can speed creep that, but you know what I mean. It can speed creep certain things on my team. Or like adamant max speed Azumarill, things like that. Play rough does massive damage. Waterfall does massive damage. Knockoff, the only thing that can actually switch in this thing decently well is Gourgeist, and Gourgeist does not like knockoffs. It is 2-hit KO'd pretty easily if he has taken like an Earthquake or a Rock Slide or a Psychic from Reuniclus. Obviously Earthquake and Rock Slide from Rhydon. Sorry, I'm stupid. Now, I'm dying. I need tea. Sorry, I'm dying. Here's the really cool thing about Trick Room with Azumarill. I have Aqua Jet. I out-prioritize Talonflame with Aqua Jet in Trick Room, and that is very key, because I can't take Brave Birds that well with this thing, but if he's weakened, he's taken like a Dragon Claw and hasn't roosted up yet, sends it in, it's going to die to an Aqua Jet. That is awesome. Play roughs do a massive amount of damage to his team. Depending on his spread of Togekiss, player just straight 2-hit KOs it. Jirachi, knockoff, does a massive amount of damage to it. Nidoqueen, just waterfall, just straight up destructificates all over its face. Like, this thing, if I can get it in my Trick Room, and it'll just be absolutely gorgeous. I'm running the Assault Vest for a couple different reasons. So let's say the matchup comes up and it's Reuniclus versus Blastoise. Goes for Dark Pulse. My Colbur Berry activates. Goes for Trick Room. Cool. I now have Trick Room up. Now here's the awesome thing. He's almost forced to go for another Dark Pulse in order to KO me because Flash Cannon won't do it after a Colbur Berry Dark Pulse, and neither will Scald or neither will Ice Beam. So I'm hoping I'll be able to get into this thing and be absolutely amazing to just go for it. That's why I'm running Assault Vest, because Dark Pulse does the literal amount of 0. Quite literally 0 to this thing, and that is amazing. Under Trick Room, this thing also just straight up OHKOs Tyrantrum with a Play Rough. So this thing under Trick Room can be massive, and it will, if I can get this to actually work, Sam, I think, will be very shocked, and he won't know what to do for a couple of turns, and that's what I really need to do. I really need to put him on the back foot for just a few turns, get my foot ahead of him, and just hope that he cannot bring it back. That is my goal. This thing is amazing. But overall, that is basically the team. The team is very unique. It's very different from what I normally run. So, ultimately, I think I have a good chance. I think if I can catch him off guard, I will basically, hopefully, take out 2 things on his team, leaving him very weak to 1 thing on my team, and hopefully just cleaning up. But this team is very unique. I'm very excited to use this team, actually, but hopefully it works. Fingers crossed. But yeah, so with all that being said, make sure you guys leave a like down below for me. Also, make sure to go check out Sam's channel. If you're not subscribed to him and you're subscribed to me, I don't know what you're doing with your life, because he's awesome. He's absolutely amazing. And not to mention that, he's also a fantastic human being. Just a little bit of a backstory for you. Back when the GBA D-League Season 2 was going on, and I found out that Sam wanted to be an analyst, I instantly was like, please, let me work with Sam. Please, because I love his channel. I think he's very intelligent of everything in Pokemon. I think that he's probably one of the best, honestly. Like him, Shoddy, they're probably like the top two in my opinion. And it's very hard for me to just turn down an opportunity to work with somebody that has that much intelligence in the game. So I really look up to this man for multiple reasons, and I'm honestly kind of honored to just battle him. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's a dream come true because I don't dream of Pokemon, but if I could pick one person to battle in the entire community, it would probably have been Sam, no matter what, just because he's awesome. I really like Sam. So this battle is going to be special for me, even if I get 6-0'd by Tyrantrum. Like, I'm okay with that, just because it's Sam, and I have a lot of respect for him. But that's basically that little story and history lesson for you guys. If you guys did enjoy, please make sure to leave a like down below. Also, make sure to leave a comment as to what you think of the team, what you would change, what you dislike, what you like, what if you think the Trick Room is stupid. Let me know, because I like to know your opinions, and because my channel of recent has been like flooded with just opinions, and I think it's awesome. So it's really cool. But I'm gonna go and get on out of here. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.